What's going on, everybody? HR Falcons 22 back here again doing the second edition, the second video in my new Snuff and Stuff series. And I know that originally I'd said, well, I'm going to pick a series of topics out of a hat. I've got a series of topics actually in my other hat right here. Anything from the playlist that I use to work out to why money actually does buy happiness and my thoughts on that. As well as let's see, good documentaries to watch and all that kind of stuff. So I will cover a few of those things, but in light of recent events, I really just wanted to spend the intro of this video on one recent news story in particular, and that happens to be, yes, I'm dipping Copenhagen Snuff, by the way. Hope you guys are too, or if you're not, I hope you're here to enjoy whatever it is that you enjoy dipping with me. So recently, I just saw the news story about 2 or 3 nights ago. Recently came out that rhythm guitarist of AC/DC, Malcolm Young, either had a stroke or had a blood clot or something like that left him physically not incapacitated, but he had picked up a guitar in a studio when the boys had played privately a few weeks back, and just discovered that he couldn't play the way that he used to. Some news sources have said that it's a terminal thing. Some news sources have said that it's overblown and that AC/DC, will be back. They'll be recording more music. They'll do another album. They'll do another world tour, which I hope is the case. But having said that, I think it just bears at least a little bit of recognition. Because a lot of people, unless you're really a hardcore AC/DC fan, most of the time when you think of AC/DC, who do you think of? You think of either Bon Scott or Angus Young. And yeah, I think about Brian a little bit too, because he was back in black. Brian brought AC/DC back from the brink, and Brian was initially the guy that Bon said, hey, if anything ever happens to me, I want this guy to pick up the band. So after Brian joined, and after Malcolm went through his struggle with alcoholism, his brother, I think his nephew or something like that, Stevie Young, replaced him. A lot of people couldn't tell the difference because Stevie looks a lot like Malcolm. Malcolm finally got over his alcoholism, came back, and AC/DC just continued to be the highest grossing rock band in history. Back in Black is, one of the most seminal rock and roll albums, if not one of the best albums, period, of all time. So after I saw the news story that Malcolm Young was going to be unable to play, I was like, okay, shit happens, even to people like Malcolm Young. But then as I started thinking about it more and more, I really came to the realization that there is no AC/DC without Malcolm Young. A lot of people don't realize that Malcolm is the brains behind the entire operation. He, since the band's inception in 1975, he made the decisions on where they would play, what press outlets they would speak to, and all sorts of stuff like that. He did the booking. He did all the behind the scenes shit, including writing most of the songs, most of the riffs, that were all centered around his rhythm guitar. And if you're an AC/DC fan, you know that Malcolm's rhythm guitar is what drives every single AC/DC song. And it takes a really special kind of talent to let your younger brother Angus, really live in the spotlight, and be the crazy dude that's running around on stage, while you just sit in the shadows and just pump the song along with rhythm guitar. So I recently heard also, I'm hoping that the news stories are overblown. I've heard that AC/DC had booked some studio time in a Vancouver recording studio for about 6 weeks, starting in May. So Brian Johnson initially came out and was like, yeah, we're going to be recording some new stuff, hopefully coming out with a new album for our 40th anniversary that's coming up, and hopefully doing another tour. Obviously, that's put on the ropes if Malcolm really isn't doing that well. So all things aside, Malcolm, I know you don't know me, but your band, your AC/DC, your guitar really, you inspired me to pick up guitar and really learn the nuances of playing rhythm guitar. So I wish the best for you. I hope you get better. So, anyways, moving on from that, um, I know that originally in my last video, or in my first Snuff and Stuff video, I said that I would be selecting a thing of topics out of a hat, and then I would talk about them because I'm really into the eclectic side of knowing, being able to talk to people about a lot of different things. And originally I was going to draw out of the hat, but then I decided on doing something else. I kind of selected my own topic for this video, and it's really just 3 topics that I think you guys might find interesting. So let's go ahead and get into them. The first topic: documentaries that you should watch. Normally, I used to not really be a huge consumer of documentaries. I didn't see the point in sitting down and watching a movie about something and learning about something because I was fucking dumb. But as I've met some more people, I met a kid over here in the Netherlands named Philippe. And Philippe is just a documentary addict. The kid is constantly watching documentaries. Constantly, he's able to talk about a lot of different things because he watches so many documentaries. So one of the things that I did want to recommend to you guys are some of the documentaries that I've watched over the past 2-3 weeks. And I've really gotten into watching every other day, just watching a documentary about something different. Anything from psychology to philosophy to analysis of conspiracy theories, all that kind of stuff. So I made a list of the 4 documentaries that I've watched as of late, and ones that I think you guys might enjoy as well. The first one is called The Pleasure of Finding Things Out, and it's an interview with a physicist from California Institute of Technology. His name is Richard Feynman, and this guy grew up in New York. He was a brilliant mathematician. He ended up doing, I think, his undergrad at either Columbia University or MIT. And when he was a grad student, when he was a PhD student at MIT, he got invited. This is back in the 40s. He got invited to, I guess, assist on the project, the Manhattan Project, that would eventually build the atomic bomb. And it's really just an interview with him, up close and personal, just one-on-one interview with him about why science in itself is. It's not about the awards and honors that you get. It's not about winning the Nobel Peace Prize. It's not about becoming a member of the Royal Academy of Sciences or anything like that. His argument is that it's really all about the pleasure of finding things out. Sure, you might get the Nobel Peace Prize, but in his argument, he's already gotten the prize. The prize is being able to find something out. It's really a fascinating interview, a fascinating documentary about this guy's life. And so I highly recommend that you guys watch it. Again, it's called The Pleasure of Finding Things Out. The second documentary that I watched and that initially I was really, really shaken by was called Interview with the Iceman. The Iceman is the pseudonym for a guy named Richard Kolkinski, who was a mafia hitman during, I think, the 70s or the 80s or something like that. And this dude is just a straight up psychopath. Like, the entire documentary is just a jail cell interview, a psychologist interviewing Richard Kolkinski in jail. And the psychologist asks him pretty much all these questions about the people he killed for the mafia, how he killed them, and kind of exploring how Richard Kolkinski, this guy who grew up in a household with an alcoholic father, kind of a broken family, how he came to be the serial killer that he is, and that made him a hitman for the mafia. Really a cool documentary about just human nature and looking. You see this guy, the psychologist asks him these questions like, how did you know that you wanted to be a serial killer, that you were perhaps different from anybody else? And Mr. Kolkinski goes into really in depth about how when he was a kid, he would find 2 stray cats tie them together by the tail, and then throw them over a clothesline and just watch them rip each other to shreds. He talks about how he would find stray cats and put them in ovens and literally just watch them burn to death. And then he talks about how he killed people, how he strangled a guy in a back alley, about how he shot dead 4 people who pissed him off on a drive that he was taking to Georgia. And the weird thing about this whole interview is that you would expect some form of human emotion to be shown. You know, you would think that he would be remorseful, be like, "Oh yeah, I fucking killed those guys, man, whatever." No, this dude is just straight unflinching when they ask him, you know, how did you kill him? He's like, I put a gun to their head and I killed them, and no blinking, just stoic, completely stoic. So it's really fascinating it was fascinating for me at least to see somebody who is so almost detached from reality, who lacks any sort of empathy, to talk about, you know, what drove him to do what he did. So that's another fascinating documentary that you guys can watch. It's called Interview with the Iceman. The third one, DMT, the spirit molecule. I've talked about DMT, I think, a few other times in some of my other videos, and there's obviously a ton of videos out there with Joe Rogan, a bunch of people who have done DMT, and share their experiences about it. Pretty much what DMT is, it's the most potent hallucinogen known to man. So think about psychedelic mushrooms or LSD or any type of hallucinogen like that. DMT is more powerful than all of them. It's also the same drug that your brain releases when you dream. It's released by your pineal gland. And it's really when people are near the edge of death, when they're about to die, that's one of the times that your brain produces the most DMT right before you die. So really, when you're having these visions, your life is flashing before your eyes or anything like that, that's really just a psychedelic trip that your brain is producing via this drug called DMT. And it's really fascinating to see I personally have never done DMT, but it's really fascinating to see these people's experiences about you come out of this trip. It's only a 15-minute trip with DMT, and you come out of the experience just having experienced such an overload of sensory stimulation and seeing all these crazy visions that it really alters your perspective on life, and it gives you a sense of really how small you are compared to the vast universe that exists out there. So really an awesome documentary. Check it out. It's called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. The final documentary that I wanted to share with you guys that I think you would really enjoy, especially if you're into organic food or healthy eating, sort of like I am, is called Food Incorporated. It's abbreviated Food Inc. And it's really an expose on the practices, the mass farming practices, the mistreatment of cattle and livestock and all of that stuff that goes into the meat and the food products that we consume from McDonald's or from other fast food restaurants. And it's really crazy to see how literally these mass farmers pump these cattle full of HGH, full of antibiotics to protect from the diseases that inevitably arise when you crowd a shit ton of cattle together. And obviously disease is going to spread, so you need to pump them full of all these antibiotics so they don't die. And really just how any semblance of natural ways of raising cattle have been completely torn asunder. Really all Food Inc. focuses on is this massive machine of producing animals and food products that are in essence artificial. They're made exclusively for turnover. These companies make these products with the intent not of being healthy, but of making them consumable as quickly as possible, and making it easy to make a fast buck off of these cattle and off of these chickens and off of all these other food products that really are not safe. So really an awesome documentary, one that will scare the fuck out of you when it comes to whether you're deciding to eat at McDonald's or Whole Foods. So that's another documentary that I figured I would share with you guys. So moving on, another topic that I wanted to talk about, and it's one that I mentioned in my comment to, oh, I forget his name. I shared a little bit about this with a comment that somebody had made on my previous video, my previous Snuff and Stuff video about advice for college underclassmen, stuff like that. And it's a concept that was initially shared with me by one of my professors back at South Carolina. And it really centers around how to play the stock market. A lot of people look at the tickers, the little plus, minuses, whatever, that run at the bottom of news outlets. You look at those stock prices and you wonder, what does that even mean? It's like another language. So the point of the class that I took, the point that this professor was trying to make, is that if you take a look at the stock numbers, the pluses, the minuses, the, whatever, it's really another language, and it helps you get a pulse on how the economy is doing, how you can manipulate those numbers to either make money or lose money or, do whatever. And one of the most fascinating tactics, I guess, that he shared with us is this. Think about how terrorists, how Al-Qaeda, how anybody like that makes money. How, as a terrorist organization, do you somehow manage to pool all the capital needed to organize suicide bombings or to procure C4 or to buy weapons from Russia or Iran or anything like that? And here's how they do it. Really, truthfully, this is exactly how it works. Two concepts that you need to know in order to really work the stock market: buying low and selling high. You can make money in the stock market when the market is going up, and you can also make money when the stock market is going down. Here's how terrorist organizations do it. Odds are, if you're a company and you announce something in the news that is detrimental to the company, so say Best Western Hotels comes out with, there's a news release that comes out with Marriott or Best Western Hotels that they have a bed bug infestation. Obviously, the stock price of those two hotel chains is going to drop slightly. If you can anticipate the drop in stock price, you can short sell and make as much money as you can as the stock price is dropping. Then you can buy to cover a majority of those shares and make money when the stock price rises back up. So here's how terrorists and Al-Qaeda really do things. What's the fastest way to make a company's stock price plummet? Destroy a company. So if I'm Al-Qaeda or if I'm a terror, organizer or something like that, I can play the stock market by short selling a bunch of Marriott shares or a bunch of Best Western shares. By short selling those shares, I'm anticipating that the stock price will drop in the future. And then what I do is I load a car full of bombs and then I drive it through the front door of a Best Western or a Marriott and I blow it up. So the stock price, after this hotel is destroyed, the stock price plummets. I make this amount of money. Say the stock price goes from here to here, right? I make this much money, and then I can buy to cover when the price inevitably rises again. So terrorist organizations play the stock market by short selling a bunch of stock shares, then purposefully destroying and therefore making the stock price plummet of a certain chain of hotels or a certain company or something like that. And then they make all that money coming back up. And most of the time it's north of millions and millions of dollars. So that's exactly how terrorist organizations make money. The thing is, you don't have to drive a truck bomb through a lobby of a Marriott hotel to make money. All you have to do is pay attention to current events. So, for example, take the iPhone 5. When the iPhone 5 was first coming out, people were hesitant. People were hesitant to buy the iPhone 5, not only because it wasn't really anything new from the iPhone 4S or anything like that, people were hesitant to buy it because iPhone and Apple was offering the iPhone 5C, and that was an aesthetic that was completely different from what Apple had originally offered. So if I know and if I think that the iPhone 5C is not going to sell well, what would I do? I would buy a ton of Apple stock, short sell it, and when the iPhone, if the iPhone 5C does badly, does poorly, then I can make that amount of money and buy to cover at the bottom. Um, so that's how you make money off the stock market. I could do a whole video on working the stock market, but the easiest way to do it is to try it out in practice. And so for our professor made us do a stock market game where we were given 100 fictitious dollars. We were given 100,000 electronic dollars to invest. And so what I did personally is, this was back last semester, back in the fall, when Obama declared war, quote unquote, on Syria and said, hey, Syria, if you guys use chemical weapons against your own people, the United States will declare war. What do you need to go to war? You need airplanes. What are airplanes made from? Aluminum, predominantly. So as soon as Obama said, hey, we're going to war with Syria, I immediately invested about, I don't know, $50,000 and bought as many shares as I possibly could in aluminum manufacturing companies and defense contractors such as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, something like that. And initially, because we all thought we were going to war, those stocks rose considerably because everybody was like, oh, we're going to go to war. We need a bunch of airplanes. Therefore, we need a bunch of aluminum. So everybody that continued to buy aluminum or stock in defense contractors. And as soon as the price reached a certain point, I sold off everything and made fictitiously about $400,000 or $500,000. So that's just another way that paying attention to current events, paying attention to what's happening in the news, reading the Wall Street Journal, and then taking that knowledge and applying it to your investments can help you make money, or you can lose a lot of money. It goes either way. So that's just another tip that I wanted to share with you guys. Let's see. Oh, last topic. The last topic of my videos. Why I don't watch Outlaw Dipper's videos. I know a lot of people, obviously, Outlaw Dipper and Mudjug1 are the preeminent dip reviewers on YouTube. That's a fact. I admit that I'm not going to be as big as Outlaw Dipper or Mudjug1, particularly because I don't really give a shit. I don't care enough about my YouTube channel to invest the time and invest the production quality in making videos like Outlaw and Mudjug do. At the same time, you'll notice that Outlaw just came out with a video about Makla Afrikia, about a video that I just recently did. How else would Outlaw Dipper find out about Makla Afrikia? He probably watches my videos, and he probably takes the same subject matter that he sees in my videos because he sees that it's popular and that people enjoy it, and then he makes a video about it. I'm not faulting the guy for that. Believe me, I would be doing the same exact thing, and imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. At the same time, Outlaw is trying to make a living off of YouTube. I, however, am not. So Outlaw is out there probably making money off of the ideas and the particular concepts or the particular brands of dip that I am reviewing. That to me doesn't sit well. The other thing that doesn't sit well with me is the fact that if you look at the comments and you look at the people that predominantly watch Outlaw Dipper's videos, and I'm not saying anything bad about that. You can watch whoever's dip reviews, whoever makes dip reviews. You can watch whoever you want. The thing is, I would be a lot cooler with Outlaw Dipper and Mudjug1 if they didn't appeal to the prevailing stereotype that so often has plagued dippers. So when you watch Outlaw's videos, you see this screaming, hollering redneck that, for lack of a better word, I'm sure he's a smart dude and everything, but to cater to the demographic that so often watches his videos, I feel like he dumbs himself down. the reality is that not all dippers are like Outlaw Dipper. Dippers come in all shapes and sizes, contrary to my 5 types of dippers video, which I'm sure you all have watched. But dippers are more than screaming, hollering rednecks that enjoy shooting guns and institutional racism. Dippers can be people like me who are university students and educated professionals and all the above. So my goal is to make videos that appeal to those kind of people. I'm not saying that Outlaw is a bad person, in any way, shape, or form at this point. Um, but all I'm saying is that there has to be some sense of originality. If you're going to cater to primarily, racist redneck dippers or whatever, then make your own content. Don't steal from me. That's all I'm saying. Um, so, anyways, let's see. Let's see. Oh, another thing. A lot of people have recently, especially after I commented on one of Outlaw's Instagram posts about Makla Afrikia, a lot of people have been following me on Instagram or adding me on Facebook, and that's cool. That's great. I'm glad that you care enough about me, at least as a person, to add me on Facebook or to get to know me or anything like that. At the same time, if you're gonna add me on Facebook or add me on Instagram, don't be a fucking psychopath, because I have been added by a few people on Facebook especially, and I have to deal. If I had to count the number of times that I scroll through my news feed and I just see dumb, depressing bullshit statuses that really don't do anything for me. They don't make me concerned. They don't make me, I really don't give a fuck. But if you're going to follow me on Facebook or add me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram or something like that, at least recognize that I am not Outlaw Dipper. I'm not going to be posting pictures of myself throwing in huge fatties or doing anything like that, because for me there's more to life, and there should be more to life for you as a dipper. That's why my Instagram predominantly focuses on traveling the world, getting to know people that who I previously would never have had the chance to know, and really expanding my personal network beyond the narrow subset of dippers in the country. Now, I'm not trying to alienate anybody. I'm not saying that, oh, if you're that kind of person, then don't follow me on Instagram. The thing is, I really could care less. I don't care if you follow me on Instagram or if you follow me on Twitter or if you add me on Facebook or any of the above. I the only thing that I would implore you to do is to at least follow me or add me or comment on my videos. I want you to be aligned and or gather some sense of change, of being able of changing yourself based on the videos that I make, because my videos are obviously a lot more than just throwing in massive knacks and talking about, I don't know, shooting guns or something like that. My videos focus predominantly on self-improvement and appealing to a group of dippers, really, that, yes, they dip, yes, but they also want to develop themselves as people. They also want to learn about a wide variety of topics. They also want to really just experience more than some of the content that's offered in Mudjug or Darcy's videos. Now, or Mudjug or Outlaw's videos. And again, that's not to rip on them. Obviously, they're a hell of a lot more successful on YouTube than I am, but that's because I really don't care how successful I am on YouTube. Yeah, so that about does it for my video. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a rant. I will be coming back and doing another Snuff and Stuff video fairly soon, where I will actually draw out of this hat of topics and then just talk about it. And the point of it all is to provide some sense of discourse, some sense of conversation that just so happens to not revolve around dip, but yes, I dip, and then you can also dip, and we'll talk about some cool shit. So thank you guys again for watching. I do appreciate it, and I look forward to making another video for you guys in the future. Take it easy.